Watch. Hello, my children. Are you a fan of the show? Do you wish you could donate to the show? Well, fear not. Just visit www.patreon.com/dumballover to donate today.
Yes.
You will receive very special rewards for donating. Thank you so much. And remember, alt-right Jesus loves us all. All right, welcome back to Dumb All Over. We're about to start our new segment, but before we do,
Come on.
I was waiting. I saw him reaching. We got a new beer.
Yes!
And when I say new beer, I mean Austin's never even heard of this company until today, correct?
No, that is correct.
They are called Roy Pitts, and this particular beer is called Gobbler Lager.
Gobbler Lager.
There's the emblem, the logo for you YouTubers.
And this one's actually kind of worth looking at because it doesn't look like a stout.
Yeah, it's a lager. It's like a traditional lager.
Yeah, it looks like Yingling.
It smells a lot like Yingling, too. It is a Pennsylvania beer.
Yeah.
In Chambersburg, PA.
Let's hope it's better than Yingling.
Yeah, really. It is 5.5% ABV, so I don't know. I have some expectations, but nothing really crazy.
All right, here we go.
Cheers.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's better than Yingling.
Yeah, I would pick this over Yingling.
Yeah, I might even pick it over Sam Adams, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth, actually.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
But it's not earth-shattering either.
No, because it's kind of,
It's bland.
it's beer.
Yeah.
It's like what you think of as beer.
Yeah. I mean, it has a little more flavor than that. I didn't get the syrupy sweetness of a maple-like.
Yeah.
But then there's that bitterness that kills it right after.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, exactly that. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Austin.
I'd say if you are absolutely, dead set on getting a lager
Yeah.
and you have to pick one, no, I wouldn't even say that. It's just,
No, if it's an option, try it.
Yeah.
Because it's a better lager.
Yeah.
But it does have resemblance, to me at least, of like a Yingling.
Yeah, and it's,
Which is, exactly. That's what it is. It's
Yeah. If you're going to have a beer, have the coffee stout that we had before.
You see,
much
you see
better.
behind Austin, any of those. Yeah, sure.
Those,
Yep.
even that one.
Yeah, even that one. Yeah. Hey, Austin.
That was that Breaking Bad one.
Austin,
What?
guess what time it is?
I was trying to delay it with all
I
my
know you were.
talking, son
It's
of a bitch.
Twitter time. And to start off Twitter time, we have our poll of the week. Last week's poll: which issue is most important to you? The environment, healthcare, ISIS, or other? Austin, I think I know your answer to this. What's your most important issue?
I'm gonna have to say healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the winner.
Ah.
So I'm not even going to ask you what you thought won.
Yeah.
Because
obviously, because you just told me.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But I knew that was going to win. I was actually considering putting it other to see if it would still win. But I just had a feeling healthcare, because that seems to be what's on people's mind the most.
Yep.
But surprisingly to me, ISIS was in last place.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was a little bit interesting.
That actually doesn't surprise me that much.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was on the minds of people more than, especially with all the terror attacks that have been happening. I thought. But
Yeah, but even if you just look at it as an overall picture, more people are dying from bad healthcare. More people are dying from environmental problems.
Right.
Than ISIS. ISIS is a threat, but it's I think it pales in comparison to especially climate change and specifically here in America, our poor healthcare system.
Some of the others were stricter gun laws. Others said no government corruption.
Yep.
That's a big issue. So things like that. But healthcare was by far the most, with I believe it's 63%. So it won bigly. We have a couple questions this week, and then we also have a little video clip that we're going to play.
Oh yeah.
So let's start off with the questions. I think
Go for it.
Best. All right. So our first question is from Propaganda, who was a guest on our last week's episode.
Yeah, I want to thank him again.
Yeah.
It was a really good segment.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I listening back to it, I was like, it was a very informative, like 40 minutes or whatever it turned out to be. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
His question for the week is, do you think that a state-based living wage determined by an independent body is a better goal than a national minimum wage?
That's a really interesting question. I have to say that when you use the words determined by an independent body, in that case, maybe a state one would be better. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think it's possible in America with the state governments being as partisan and radical as a lot of them are. I don't think that body would ever be independent. Mm-hmm. So I think the best path forward for our country is to get a national one. But that also creates its own problems. And because with if it's a federal regulation, it could be changed much quicker than, a bunch of states. So they each present their problem, but I actually think a national one would help more people, and we'd probably be able to achieve it quicker with less, tomfoolery.
Yeah,
for my 1890s word of the day.
That is yeah. It has not been used in a long time.
Yeah,
but kudos for using that. I'm in agreement with you. I do believe the same exact thing. I just don't think that if there's a state that's controlled by Republicans,
which is most of them right now.
Right.
Yeah.
How is that independent body going to be formed? It's got to be formed by somebody.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's directly from the governor or whatever it is, it's got to be formed by somebody. But if the state is...
basically, usually when Republicans try to have an independent thing, it's not independent.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what? And to point blame, even the Democrats, the same way. If you're going to go independent, you got to go full-on independent. Yeah. And I'm with you on the fact that I don't believe that there can be an independent body formed.
Yeah.
But that was still a great question.
Yeah,
so thank you very much. Our next question comes from Wartrout. Wartrout89 is his Twitter handle. The question is, what inspired you to become involved with politics? Now, Austin, before you answer this, I take this one of two ways.
Uh-huh.
What started your interest in politics, or what started the podcast? Because this is the first time that we've
let's answer both.
Okay, because this is also the first time that we've both been involved with politics to the point where we're influencing people.
Yeah, I guess.
In one way or another, negatively or positively. So answer the first part first. What got you into politics originally as a person?
I don't know. I've been interested in politics for a long, long time. And I think that my prime motivator has always been the idea that you want to leave the world a better place than you found it.
Right.
And so, for me personally, it's been a long journey to try to find the right way in which to do that.
You've had an interesting journey.
Yeah. But I think that was the ultimate goal from the beginning, is try to leave the world a better place than you found it. And I remember I first got really interested in politics probably around 2008, actually. And I think just because it was such a big election. And the lead up to that election, although I'm ashamed to say that I wasn't on the right side of history. Mm. Well, no, I think because I wasn't vocal, but I actually was an Obama supporter back then.
Same.
Which people will probably say, really? You were that far right? And, and to be honest, I was actually further right than you're thinking.
At that time?
Yeah. Like, at the time, I fancied myself...
you were still in the Ron Paul stage, weren't you?
Actually, that was a little bit before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was actually more of a, traditional conservative, but his... Obama's message just seemed to be better than McCain's, so I thought,
yeah?
Yeah, I know. But you have to imagine from my point of view at the time.
I'm trying to.
I know, it's difficult.
It's hard.
And then 2012 rolled around, and Ron Paul ran. And before that, I'd been getting into, I'd read some stuff by Ayn Rand, and it was not a good time. It was not a good time in my life.
Is that didn't you take that on the bus rides when we were on golf team together? I could have sworn I remember.
Ayn Rand? I don't think so. No, because that was 2009.
Oh yeah, that was before.
No, I think at the time, reading on our trips, I just remember
Michael Crichton. I remember Michael
and
Crichton.
some other literature. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, but I fancied myself a libertarian for a while until I realized how much nonsense that was. It takes a while because they put forth an argument that allows you to be selfish and righteous at the same time. It's very powerful for somebody, in their late teens who is very self-involved.
Right.
It's the ideological perfect storm. But the problem with that ideology is you always had to do mental gymnastics to make it work. And that's when I realized, eventually my mind was like, you need to stop doing this because you have to contort logic in such a way for it to work. And then when you have people point out, so many obvious things about how other places in the world do things this way, and it is totally the opposite of anything a libertarian has ever proposed.
Right.
Except for maybe drug policy.
Yeah, because a couple countries have enforced that free drugs for all.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's where
Holland.
the Venn diagram of democratic socialists and libertarians overlap is in their drug policy.
Right.
But that's the only place, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so, I started listening to more and more of that, and I started reading Noam Chomsky. And
so it began.
And then it kind of came to a head when Bernie ran.
Yeah.
And that was when, it sounds crazy, but that's when I was finally felt comfortable, calling myself a liberal.
It's funny, too, because I remember the first time that I brought up Bernie Sanders to you, I was kind of afraid how you were going to react. I said to Austin, I was like, hey, have you ever heard of Bernie Sanders? And knowing he has, I know Austin, I know he had. And he's like, yeah, I love him. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
I know.
Because it was just a big turn, to me at least, but I see the progression now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of it had to do with leaving here. And going to college in Boston.
Going to Boston.
Yeah.
That'll help.
I know they say there was an article about why people who move to the cities become more liberal. And all of it's true because you are forced to confront other people. And where we live, you're not. So it's hard to, when people talk about poverty and, how programs can help. When you live here, it's hard to see it. So it's easy for somebody to convince people that it's just people taking your money and being lazy. But when you see what's happening in the cities and you're confronted by it daily and you realize, oh, no, these programs really do help people.
Right.
And people need this kind of help, and that when people work together, it actually is a good thing. And you see how well public transportation works and blah, blah,
It helps.
It
helps. It helps change.
And it definitely does change your mind.
Yeah.
And there was I think the big turning point was when, in the summer before senior year, so the summer before, I guess it was summer of 2008.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I went to Europe.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You went to, was that the German trip?
Well, I went to France, Germany, Austria.
That'll help.
And Sweden, or Switzerland.
You can see the rest of the world.
Yeah, and you start talking to people who live there,
right.
And you start understanding how it works where they live. And you realize, that system is much better than ours. Yeah. And then I went to college with a lot of people from Canada.
And liberals in general.
Yeah, well, it was Boston. Yeah,
and it's a music school.
A music school in Boston. Yeah. So, it was very liberal. And they just made good arguments.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the same thing wouldn't have happened had I been forced to go to a Bible school.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they would have convinced me because their arguments are so poor.
Yeah. It's easy to find flaws in those arguments.
Yeah. With these, they just made so much sense. It's all right, I need to stop making myself fight them.
Right.
Yeah. And that's I think. But and as far as the podcast goes, it was Trump.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. For myself, 2000 was when I got into politics.
Okay.
It was the first time my dad bought me a map of the United States, and it had each state in a cutout form in red or blue. And as I'm watching, it was for kids, and I still have it. I actually framed it because it was the day that kind of changed my life. And as the states were going red or blue, I was finding the puzzle piece and putting it in.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the very beginning of my political awareness, I guess you can say.
And it seems like yours is much more of a straight line.
Yeah, very boring compared to yours. Yeah. I've been a very left-wing liberal since I was a little kid, since I could remember. I've always been liberal, always had the same ideals, pro-gay marriage, pro-abortion. I remember having arguments with my friends when I was 11 about being pro-choice.
Well, it's funny because I was an atheist before I was a liberal.
And I was... I don't think I really was, but I was non-religious my entire life.